For thousands of years, we've been told stories about gold. Stories of treasure, of pirates, of kings. But the most important story has been kept secret. It's not about the gold you can see. It's about the invisible power it created. A power that quietly shaped our world. Hello everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to uncover the true story of gold, a story that begins not in a treasure chest, but in the heart of Africa. Long before the adventurers of Europe set sail, vast empires in Africa were built on an ocean of gold. Imagine ancient Egypt, where pharaohs were laid to rest in solid gold coffins, not just as a symbol of wealth, but as a gateway to the divine. The amount of gold they controlled was staggering, a testament to a civilization that understood its true value, both material and spiritual. But Egypt was just one chapter. Further west, the Mali Empire rose to become one of the wealthiest states in history, all thanks to gold. For centuries, African merchants and rulers commanded the legendary trans-Saharan trade routes. They managed a complex network of caravans, some with thousands of camels, moving tons of gold dust, nuggets, and crafted goods north across the world's largest desert. Think about that. Africans weren't just participants in this trade, they were the masters of it. They set the terms, controlled the supply, and built cities like Timbuktu into legendary centers of commerce and learning, all funded by the Earth's most precious metal. One story perfectly captures this immense wealth: the pilgrimage of Mansa Musa, the emperor of Mali, in the 14th century. His journey to Mecca wasn't just a religious act. It was a demonstration of power that the world had never seen. His caravan stretched for miles, laden with so much gold that when he passed through Cairo and gave it away generously, he single-handedly destabilized the entire region's economy for over a decade. The price of gold plummeted. This wasn't just a rich king on a trip. It was an African empire announcing its unparalleled wealth to the world. It was a clear signal that the wellspring of global prosperity was located south of the Sahara. So, where did all this African gold go? It flowed north, like a river of molten wealth, quenching the thirst of rising empires. The Roman Empire, known for its roads and legions, was also a massive consumer of gold. Roman coins, struck from metal sourced through trade networks reaching deep into Africa, became the lifeblood of their economy. This gold paid their soldiers, funded their colossal building projects, and financed their expansion. Without this steady influx of African gold, the story of Rome might have been very different. The very foundations of what we call Western civilization were, in part, paved with African gold. After Rome fell, the demand didn't stop. The fledgling kingdoms of medieval and Renaissance Europe were desperate for gold to mint their own currencies and fund their ambitions. They needed it to trade with the East, to build their cathedrals, and to finance their endless wars. But they had a problem. They didn't have significant gold mines of their own. The gold they used, the gold that fueled the Italian Renaissance and filled the vaults of Venetian merchants, was overwhelmingly sourced from Africa. It flowed through the hands of North African traders who acted as intermediaries, but its origin was undisputed. European crowns and economies were utterly dependent on this African supply chain. The gleaming gold on a king's crown in London or a bishop's cross in Florence likely began its journey in a mine in West Africa, controlled and traded by Africans. This was the engine of the pre-modern world. But then, something began to change. The age of empires built on physical treasure, on ships filled with gold bullion, started to give way to a new, more subtle form of power. The physical gold was still important, but it was becoming the foundation for something else entirely: a global financial system. This was the secret handshake, the moment when power moved from the battlefield to the banker's ledger. The real shift began with the rise of banking dynasties. These families understood something profound. Controlling the flow of money was more powerful than controlling an army. They began by issuing notes and letters of credit, backed by the gold they held in their vaults. Suddenly, you didn't need to move heavy, risky chests of gold to do business. You could move a piece of paper. This abstraction of wealth was a revolution. It allowed for the creation of credit, debt, and investment on a scale never before imagined. Gold was no longer just a shiny metal. It became the anchor for a vast, invisible web of financial instruments. And here is the crucial secret. This new system was built on trust, but also on secrecy. The inner workings of these early banks, the deals made in quiet back rooms, were not public knowledge. Power was now concentrated in the hands of those who understood and controlled this new, abstract system. They created central banks, stock markets, and international financial institutions. Wealth was no longer just about how much gold you owned, but about your ability to manipulate these complex systems. The game changed. It was no longer about conquering lands to get their gold. It was about controlling the institutions that controlled the world's money. The gold, much of it originally from Africa, now sat in vaults, but its real power was being wielded through financial contracts, interest rates, and secret agreements. The legacy of this shift is the world we live in today, a world where financial markets can make or break nations, where billionaire investors wield more influence than some heads of state, and where wealth is often represented by numbers on a screen rather than gold in a vault. The system became so complex, so intentionally opaque, that most people never stopped to ask where the original value came from. They forgot about the mines in Mali, the caravans across the Sahara, and the pharaohs of Egypt. They forgot that the foundation of this towering financial edifice was built, layer by layer, upon tangible wealth drawn from the African continent. So, what does this hidden history teach us? It shows us that the story of power is the story of controlling resources, and more importantly, controlling the narrative about those resources. For centuries, the narrative focused on European explorers and conquerors, obscuring the African empires that were the original source of the world's great wealth. Then, the narrative shifted again, hiding the mechanics of power behind the complex and intimidating facade of global finance. Understanding this history is not about assigning blame. It's about claiming a form of liberation. When you understand how the system was built, you are no longer just a passive participant in it. You begin to see the invisible threads of power that connect a gold mine in Ghana to the stock exchange in New York. You realize that true wealth isn't just about money. It's about knowledge, history, and understanding the real story behind the story. The gold is still there, locked in vaults, but the real treasure is uncovering the truth. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through history. If this story opened your eyes, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that uncovers the hidden truths that shape our world. See you next time.